sharing in that. That was our buy-in, because Stroud and Strasburg had already paid for the plant. We are buying in, and we are all participating in the upgrade of that plant. So the 3.9 was to get into the existing facility, which handles currently 2 million gallons a day. That will then be expanded to a 4.5 million gallon a day plant, and all 3 municipalities are participating in paying for that.
Okay, so we currently paid $3.9 million?
We have not paid it yet.
Oh, we have.
We will be making a contribution in there as we go along, as they build this. Basically, it's going to be paid in as they build a new facility. That's when the payments will be made.
Okay, so we're not going to pay for the old facility, we're going to pay for the new one that all waste is going to go to.
Well, I mean, we're still paying the money. The way it's actually working is that we are picking up a share of what Stroud and Strasburg would normally have to pay for the plant expansion to the extent of 3.9 million. So we are paying them for the interest in the plant they already have. We won't actually be writing a check to them for that. We're just picking up 3.9 million of the expenses they would otherwise have for the expansion.
Is that how we came to the formula of where we pay 60% of the waste?
Yeah, what the 60% is really it really throws everybody off. Actually, what we are in the plant for is 44.45%. After we have the buy-in, 3.9 is our initial investment. After that, we will be getting 44.45% of the capacity, and that is basically our contribution to the cost of the expansion. The reason the 62% figure that throws everybody off is that everybody says, wait a minute, they see the 44.5%, why are we paying 62%? The 62%, when they calculate the total picture, includes the 3.9 million buy-in, and what happened was we got a grant from H2O in the amount of $9 million. It's called an H2O grant. We had applied for a grant, as had the Broadhead Creek Regional Authority, and we were hoping both entities would get a grant. We didn't know if either of us would, but we were hoping both would. So we'd entered into a letter of understanding saying, look, no matter who gets a grant, this is how we're going to apply it to the cost of the plant. It turned out that Pocono was the only one that got a grant. It got a grant for $9 million. And of that money, the way the allocation was to work on the plant, I think it was like, let's say 6 million in round numbers, was to go to the cost that Stroud and Strasburg would have otherwise had to pay. Normally, they would have gotten that money directly from the grant, but what happened was the grant people said, no, you can't have them actually share in the monies we're paying you because they're not a grant recipient. You, Pocono, have to take the entire $9 million and spend it on your collection system. So we had to find another way to get that money to Stroud and Strasburg. Again, we picked up an additional share of what they had to pay for the expansion to get them their $6 million. It all really comes out in a wash. I know it sounds very confusing, but that H2L allocation threw everything out of whack. So that 62% number is only for this expansion. If anything else happens going forward, it will be paying 44.45% of that. And that's really all we are paying. It's just it's a number shuffle here because we had to take the whole $9 million, where initially we only would have taken like 3 or 4 million of that if we would have been able to give them their share directly.
And Tim, is that our final destination? In other words, there's no other plant being built. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
So everything winds up there.
That's correct. And I don't know if I made that clear. It's a very confusing issue.
No, I get it.
Okay. Yeah, but don't be misled by that number. A lot of people have and said, if we're only getting 44% of the sewer, why are we paying 62%? It's really not coming out that way. We're really still paying 44% plus our buy-in. It's just the number allocation to get them their credits. We have to say up front that we're giving them more of a contribution to the plant because we kept more of the H2O money ourselves.
So the $3.9 million equates to approximately 24% of the entire project?
No, the 3.9 million and the other 6 million they were going to receive.
Oh, so it's
so 10 about 12
million is 20%.
$30 million. Yeah. That's what bumps us up to that 62%.
So that means that the estimate of this project is now $50 million.
Well, the estimate of the whole project is Pocono share is probably what, 78 million. The whole project is.
Okay, so then I don't see the percentages matching up. But I'll as I say, you really have to back into it to make that work. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah, and what would happen is, I didn't say that, there is a second round of H2O money. And then you listen here, it's a totally different story.
That there's a second round of H2O money that the Broadhead Creek Regional Authority applied for. And although that money now is seen to have tightened up, if they were to get a grant out of that, we would get, under our letter of agreement, the lion's share of that, which would immediately bring our 62% way down again. This is all because of who is actually receiving the grant money, that it has to go in their account and distributed by credits rather than by direct payments as a grant.
So if I understand, then if they were lucky enough to get their grant, then they're the grant recipient, so they have to use it in their area. So we're gonna get, let's call it kind of a backdoor, not that doesn't sound right, I don't want to say a backdoor deal, but you're gonna manipulate it so that it
share of
works.
that would go in our column. So what we
Is that gonna go into our column towards the build out of the new facilities?
Yes. What would happen is we would actually have to pay a lot less money. That's exactly what would happen.
We're hoping we get it. We're
Yeah, if
hoping
that
they
one
get
came
it.
through, it would probably bring us almost back down to the 44, but that money has been tight. I don't think the state is going to be giving out too many more allocations on it.
One day before they were supposed to award it.
Pardon me?
They did that one day before they were going to award it.
Yeah. And that was a $20 million grant they were seeking, so that would have been really significant. We could have got it.
Really nice. Yes.
I gave you hours to think about it. Did you come up with a solution? Or how are you just gonna get along? Because this is like crazy,
That's crazy.
the whole situation.
Oh, well,
What I talked about before in the beginning of the meeting.
yes, understand.
So what I'm saying is, what are we gonna do? You're the chairman of the board.
Right.
What are
And
you
that's
gonna
all
do
I
as
am. I
chairman?
run the meeting.
I understand that.
Right.
You're the chairman of the 3 supervisors,
Right.
okay? Or we have to impeach all 3 is to get 3 new supervisors. And what's that process then?
Yeah.
To get rid of all the supervisors, so they can't work together. Is there a process for that?
I
Wait.
wish you could seek to have them all impeached, but I.
Just because
What
we
is the process? I'd
Jimmy,
like to
just
know.
because we disagree on some things doesn't mean we have to.
Disagree on everything.
But you're disagreeing on everything.
Well, 2 of us agree on things.
I understand.
Sorry.
I understand.
Well,
But some things have to stop.
right. I agree. I agree. I agree. Yes, Ben.
Okay, I came here tonight, well, the board, really, for a couple of reasons. The first, I thought there was going to be a vote tonight, and listen, I'm here almost, I'm just in the middle of 27 years, never been to a township meeting before. Again, thought there was going to be a vote, figured I would at least tune in and see what's going to happen. Secondly,
Appreciate that.
I can't tell you anything bad about Ken Wertheiser. Good guy, been a lifelong friend, I'm sure he'll do fine at that job, and I don't want anybody to get overly crazy about it, because he's a good man and he'll do fine. Next, last meeting, it didn't take long for my phone to start ringing. And it certainly didn't take very long after that for people in the public then to come and grab me and say, hey, did you see that on YouTube? Did you see the friend over here? And I did, and I gotta be honest with you, I was a little disturbed. Simply because of not what was said, but what was insinuated, and what the perception of what was being said. Like, I've had several people say to me, what in God's name did you do? What happened? There has to be a pimple on the rear end of that department with your name on it. And I said, I gotta tell you, I'm telling you now, and I'm telling you publicly, that my record is spotless here. I put 100% into this department from the day I started to today. And I just want that publicly known, that there is no skeletons, there are no problems that I'm aware of. Lastly, and probably most important, and I think it kind of goes right back to what Jim started with, is the process here was terrible. It's terrible. This process is 2 years old. This started 2 years ago. And it started, yeah, well, I only found out about it after a while as well. It came out, there was all kinds of things, and if in the spirit of what Jim is saying to you is that this is just, it went on for so long. I mean, we had a meeting here right before Christmas last year, not this past Christmas, a year ago, trying to get this resolved. Nothing happened. Didn't get a word for over a year. A year went by. The position changed 3 times. They went to three different specs. And then all of a sudden, guys who had applied for it were no longer eligible for it. Didn't know. Nobody said anything. Nothing happened. Now all of a sudden, you get a phone call, a couple days later you have to be in for an interview, and it's almost 2 years this thing took. the process was horrible. It was just, it's tough on this end of it because everybody, and I gotta tell you, it's fractured things within that department. Doug's here, and I'm not gonna put him on the spot, but he'll tell you there's some things going on, there's some morale issues, there's some problems because of exactly what Jim was saying earlier. There just seems to be all this nonsense going on in this backdoor stuff, and people doing it, people coming and going, and I'm just at the point where, I'll be honest with you, I'm so tired of it, I just wanna scream. And I don't wish bad things on this township, and I don't wish bad things on this department, because I gotta be honest with you, it's a great group of guys. I've loved working there. I have absolutely loved that job, and it's a great group of guys. Honestly, I think anybody working or sitting here can tell you that they've had interaction with one way or another, and it's always been great. It's been a great place to be. But the way this happened was terrible, even tonight. I mean, again, I came here thinking it was a vote. There isn't. Again, it's just one more thing where I think people just look at it and walk away with a bad feeling. And the whole thing has gone this way. And I'm just asking you guys as a board to take a hard look at it and say, hey, listen, we are a growing township. We are a growing department. We are going to have other promotions. We're going to have other issues within the department. What are we going to do to make sure that this does not happen again? And that's my plea.
Thanks, Bob. We will definitely And like I said before, so you're an excellent policeman, and you do an excellent job with DARE and being my guy. You're known all over the county for that. We appreciate that very, very much. All of you. I mean, you're an excellent police force. We appreciate it very much. Like I said, I don't work over there every day, so basically, I went on the recommendation of the police chief, and I've said it many times. And, you know, we looked at everything. We really did. But when it came right down to it, we went on the recommendation of the police chief, because he works over there every day. Cecil does what? I'm sure
It has its flaws, Jay, is all I'm going to say. And listen, I understand, and listen, you have to make a decision. I don't want to be the dead horse.
There was no reflection on you or what you do.
I got to tell you, Jen, it didn't feel that way.
Yeah, and that's not a fair statement. How can you take a guy with more seniority who feels and knows what he's put into his project? His record speaks for itself, and then say there's no hard feelings. That's a slap in the face any way you look at it. I'm sorry.
Mark, I didn't say
In every
there's no hard
department,
feelings.
not just in that department.
No, I didn't
I'm
say
sorry,
that.
Jane, you did. You got a whole room full of people
I
here.
did not use those words. You can look back in the video.
I have to ask, he's on the force, you know, I'm going to piggyback a little bit with what Jim said. You know, there's a lack of communication here. You have a police sergeant, 27 years, and he didn't know that a vote took place for the position that he applied for. How is that possible?
That was the intention.
Well, I think the police
How is
chief-
that possible that somebody was promoted into a position that he applied for and he doesn't know about it?
I have no idea. The police chief was informed, so I mean, he knows.
There's your answer.
That's a travesty.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I understand.
That's just wrong. There's no way that a man
Right.
should find out in a public forum that he didn't get the position that he applied for. That's a sin.
After 27
Well,
After 27 years of dedicating his life to law
I think he
enforcement.
knew it before tonight's meeting.
Shame on all of you.
I'm sorry. That's just wrong. You got to communicate. And when I say you, I mean the board. You have to communicate.
Okay, thank you. And we will certainly look at and think about this for the next comments.
How does that happen?
Okay. Are there any other comments? Yes, sir. Rich?
What I've seen in the last few years